demand and the liquidity conditions in the market.
Mushere, who worked at the National Treasury for 4 decades as an internal and forensic auditor, uncovered a corruption scandal worth 5 billion shillings at the Ministry of Health, more famous as the Afya House scandal, and uncovered the recent 15 billion shilling scam surrounding the Ronald Ngala Utali College, touching on a former powerful CS. The anti-fraud expert explains how money is siphoned out of the Treasury accounts without a link to the projects.
The moment revenue hits the consolidated fund, to withdraw that money from the consolidated fund is like drawing water from a stone. But there is another easier way of withdrawing money from the exchequer account or the control of the consolidated fund. The easiest way is to create a debt. You create a debt so that you should pay. I mean, when you're repaying the debt, you only require 2 signatures. The lengthy process is bypassed. Only 2 signatures. The PS Treasury and the control budget.
Mushere also points out a lacuna in law that he says is used to siphon money from the public coffers.
The budgets do not contain revenue estimates as provided, as required under Article 220. They only show expenditure estimates. When we looked at all the documents, we landed in the statement of actual revenue and the exchequer issues, which is gazetted by the Cabinet Secretary, Treasury, every month. The purpose of it is to show how much revenue I've received and how much revenue I've issued for financing the different public finances. For that matter, we looked at the statement of revenue and exchequer issues. That's where we found domestic debts. And we looked at the original estimates, which are gazetted there. Our analysis shows that that is a different budget than the one which was passed by Parliament. Because the one which was passed by Parliament did not contain revenue estimates as required under Article 220.
So you'll find that then the scamming begins, because if they had disclosed the revenues and Parliament enacted them into law, then you could go to court and say, what are you raising? They would have bind themselves. But by hiding it, they sort of give themselves a blank check. So at the end of the day, you don't know what kind of revenues they're raising. No, there are no estimates. They're only giving an estimate. Then on top of that, they are borrowing from the domestic market to finance what? You see, if there was any need to borrow domestically, they should have declared in the budget. Treasury should have declared, and the Minister of Finance should have declared in the budget. And that's why the fraud is happening on the Kenyans. You find a very huge domestic debt. But if you go through the Appropriations Acts, even assuming, leaving out the fact that they don't disclose the revenue, but if you look at how they're applying the revenue, they've already indicated what the taxes will pay. They have indicated what the loans will pay and where the loans will come from. And the loans are not domestic. They're all foreign loans. So when they now come to declare the revenues here, you realize they are borrowing on the domestic market in billions of shillings. You don't understand what they're doing. And that borrowing is not approved by Parliament, which is wrong. And 2, it's not tied to any project, which is also wrong.
Tell us about domestic debt. Which project has it funded? It is our money from our bank accounts. Who is enjoying this interest of 57 to 64% over the last 10 years? Because I don't know whether there's a bondholder who has been given 64% return on his deposit.
We cannot go to parliament every time we want to borrow. We go to parliament once to have our budget passed. And once the budget is passed, it has a budget deficit that clearly indicates how much borrowing we have been allowed. With that agreement or permission from parliament to say borrow to this much, the rest is for national treasury, it is for executive. It can't be that I want to borrow this, I go to parliament, I want to borrow. No, it is ready. We already have the permission. That is why we have a public debt management office. We will now use optimal mix. And by the way, there are additional documents that also give to parliament. The medium-term debt strategy also goes to parliament and it is approved by parliament.
It is the same reason serial litigant Busia Senator Okiya Omtata has been in and out of court, challenging the failure by parliament to publish the revenue estimates in the coming up of a budget.
That issue, the court seems to have danced around it, but with the matter still, it has reached the Court of Appeal. We are re-agitating it, we are re-arguing it, we are litigating the issue, so I hope that me and those who are on my side will be able to have the court say the very simple thing, a very clear thing, that the budget should have revenue and expenditure. So that you cannot use the revenue and this is how you're going to spend it. You're obviously spending what you don't have.
However, while Kenya's debt is high, it is not among the highest in the world. The following countries top the global list